Okay. How many lattes in are you at this point? Right? How many, Berman? Wait, you got no lattes for you.
I brought this is my Starbucks drink. When I put my name, my name is Andy, but my Starbucks name is Very Lightly.
Which I'm sure is probably true for many of you in this room, by the way. When you go to Starbucks, you just keep them very lightly.
Go with Very Lightly.
I'm Tim Meltrager, and this is Andy Berman. We have been up here these last 3 days, but in case you're new and haven't been here on this day, there you go.
That's right.
This is Andy, and we're going to do some fun stuff today, and we're about to introduce a panel that's coming up, but
maybe arguably what's going to be the best panel of the weekend. I'll be watching it.
Wow, that's a bold claim.
It is a bold claim.
Yeah, but
there's been some fantastic panels, but
Yes, absolutely.
When you have creator Steve Franks and you have
Jimmie
Simpson and you have James Roday Rodriguez, I mean, come on, it'll make history.
Absolutely.
In fact, let's bring out right now Steve Franks. Steve, what's your Starbucks name?
Hold on, his mic is a little dead right now.
There we go.
Bring it on.
Okay, my Starbucks name. Hello. I'm Mike.
There, you're back. You're up. It's happening.
I don't think this.
It was happening.
No. It's on and off.
Is it on and off? All right, hold on. Hold on. How about now?
There you go.
There we go.
All right.
What's your Starbucks
hold
name?
Hold on, Tim. I'll just switch this on. Bridget Jones' Diary. Thank you, everybody.
One of our favorites. Yeah.
Thank you, Brenda.
So wait, we're talking about Starbucks names.
I had no idea that you're supposed to have a fake name. I've never used one.
You don't use your real name.
Andy has a fake name because he's in witness protection.
That's right.
Are you worried that someone's going to urinate in your tea or something? Why do you use a fake name?
That's everyone's natural instinct is to urinate on my tea. It's true.
I had no idea this is where this was going. I want out of this bit. I want out of it.
Okay. How many people were here for the event last night? Honestly, one of the most terrifying things that we've ever done, we were trying to figure out where the tables would go when we got here, and I don't know about you, but I had more fun than I've had in a long time doing that last night.
It was a good time. It came out great, but it was so fun.
We also realized during the audition part of it, for those of you who missed it, just go on your phones for a minute and we're all going to talk. I realized the audition piece could have gone an hour and a half on its own, so we had to keep that moving. We got to the reading, and I think the actors, oh God, it was the first time we said those words out loud, but it also was the first time many of those actors had even looked at the script, so it was exciting and fun, and so right now we're coming down from an immense high of energy and excitement from all of you, and we're going into the last day. You guys ready to do Sunday? This is an amazing panel today because I don't have to do anything. I'm gonna sit here and listen to two of the funniest, interesting actors that I've had the pleasure to get to know and to be in their orbit. The first one is someone who, in every single thing he's ever done, he's been funny, interesting. Every choice he's made has been something that was unexpected and not borderline brilliant, above the line brilliant. His name is Jimmie Simpson. And the other guy is a guy named James. His name is James Roday. James Roday Rodriguez. Here he is. I know you have many questions, but I'm going to ask one to start. How did you guys get into the same orbit as each other?
That's a funny, long, old, beautiful story. Shall I begin it? We have a shared friend. His name's Mike Weston. He's been on set.
You might know him as Adam Hornstock.
The Horn. And he was having a little bit of a poker game. This was something that was happening quite a bit in the early aughts in Los Angeles. And so we're doing it. And most dudes at a poker game are kind of jerks to each other. They're trying to just win and take, which is what poker is. But James and I didn't know each other, but we noticed each one is behaving a bit more like a gentleman than the rest of the crew. And we eyed each other and felt like we liked each other. And this is before psych.
Yeah, and we started telling each other when they should fold because we had good cards.
We weren't.
And everyone else at the table thought we were bluffing. But we recognized in each other's eyes that, oh, this gentleman is telling me the truth, and I should fold. And so we would, and then the other person would take all the money at the table. It was almost like we had a scam going, but we didn't.
Our scam was not making money, but we made friends.
That's right. So it was birthed from a poker game, and we owe it all to Michael West.
And then, shortly thereafter, my new friend, James, booked a job. And we were all so excited. And then when Psych premiered, it was just so wonderful to see James shining the way he did in that poker room for all of you guys. And then, you know, ultimately, he let me join. It was sweet.
But not until we had the right role.
And then we proceeded to kill his character almost immediately.
You know, it's funny because when I died, James never even sent me flowers. He did send a text that said, LOL, you died. So, if not supported, I was at least seen.
But I knew it wasn't going to be the last time we saw him. I should also mention the other thing that bonded Jimmie and I in the early days were our love for horror films and our shared admiration for Val Kilmer. And yes, thank you. Whose influences on me are very clear, and as a result, our show as well. And I thought this might be the perfect panel this weekend to take a moment of silence for a guy that I don't think Psych would have been the same without. So for Val and his entire body of work and what he gave us as Officer Dobson, let's just take a moment. Thank you, Val.
King of the Wood.
The funny thing about this show, I always say that it's from the writer's room, from the core of the idea, it's about wish fulfillment. And for the writers, I would say, what have you always wanted to do? Let's do one of those, let's go in that genre, let's do that. For James, you know, you rarely get to meet your heroes. You never get to have your heroes come to you, basically your house, and come into play in your world. And it was the last day we shot the series. We shot it months after the finale had been shot. And we did it back in LA, and we got Val to come, and we sort of were like, we'd all processed the end of the show, and then we opened up the box one more time, and just to see James the day that Val Kilmer showed up, it was, I don't know, I love Val as well, but there's no comparison to that day for James, and it was, you talk about wish fulfillment. It's everything you could ever ask for, and all putting a bow on something that was so wonderful for 8 years, and like, it would have been the perfect last moment for the show. But then we decided, let's do a ton of movies. And we opened that box up again.
And Val was an absolute gentleman, and it was actually the second time I got to meet him, because the first time I got to meet Val was because of this man and a friend of his. We went to see his one-man show where he played Mark Twain, and he toured around the country. And Jimmie knew somebody who was able to get us backstage, And that's where I met Val for the first time. And not unlike the Kurt Smith story, I told myself, if this goes well, if he looks you in the eye, take the shot. And Val looked me in the eye. And I said, you gotta be on site, man. We'll reach out with details. And I dropped the mic, and he was like, you should probably pick that up. It's good. You're right, I'm sorry. So yeah, it all goes back to Jimmie, all the Val stuff. Thanks, man.
Of course, I just came in armed with a quote I needed him to sign from Real Genius, and that's kind of the thing that James and I really deeply bonded. That performance is legendary. And I said, Val, will you please write, we're going to make you the king of the winter carnival. And he said, what the fuck is that? What does that mean? And so, yeah.
It had been a while since he said it.
So does anybody have questions for these guys? Alright. Should we start on this side? Should we start there? But just know, these guys are two of the most unique actors that you can have the pleasure of being with. And I can't wait to see what these answers are. Alright, let's start over here.
Okay, I have a quick private message for Jimmie that only he will understand.
That's a great way to start the day.
Goo. Okay,
That delivery was excellent, by the way.
I'm auditioning for Psych 4. My question is actually kind of a general question about Psych to all of you, but I'm interested to hear your take, all of yours. And that is, what you hear from all the guest stars, talking to Nestor and Rachel and others, is how different the Psych atmosphere was, right? And part of that's obviously Steve, what you created, but part of it was just that the studio gave you an extra degree of creative freedom, right? And that's part of why that bonds so well with so many people, as it comes through on the screen. Like, you guys love each other, you love what you're doing, you're having fun. I'm wondering why more studios don't do that, and I'd be interested in your take with one quick follow-up after.
Let me say a thing as one who's who's observing the situation. So there's a couple things that create this feeling of goodness. It's very, very rare in the industry. In any kind of group of 100 people, there's bound to be some tough ones, right? So Steve starts the process, and he's this number one, but then the next step is the number one cast member, and whoever that is will determine the energy on set in perpetuity of the show. And that is where it all stems from. And so we have Steve making the brilliant script, and then the brilliant choice to put James as captain. So it's not just he has the most to do, the most lines to memorize, the most story arc to show you and make you believe, but he also is responsible for how everybody feels. He's also, I love this man, if you look really closely at the Yin Yang trilogy, you can actually see the two of us falling in love. It's really nice, but I gotta tell you, humans in a position of power can often be led astray. And James, throughout the entire time, the reason so many of those guests were there is because he would make that contact and that communication, and he brought everybody in with this feeling of like, hey, we're gonna do this together. It's ultimately such a collaborative art form, and these two knew that. And so I'm just gonna say, it's these guys, and it's so very rare.
Thank you, Cameron. The only thing I would add to that is that it was good to be on a fledgling basic cable network in the early aughts in Vancouver with a network and a studio that had bigger fish to worry about. Like, we really did find ourselves in the perfect position at the perfect time with the perfect group where they were like, what's going on over there? It's not costing us that much money, so let's just see if it turns into something. And that, unfortunately, does not happen anymore today. So we were very lucky that we came along when we did.
We just hope that those other studios would learn something from this experience. But a very quick follow-up is for Steve. I think we all need an update on breaking these laws. Where are you? Is that in post-production? Are we almost there? We'd love to see it.
Are you talking about the Maggie Lawson story?
The unsanctioned Maggie Lawson story.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
For those of you who don't listen to the Psychologists Are in a Psych Rewatch podcast,
You should.
you should. This is, there's a running gag that I have where I have I'm always worried whenever I go on a Zoom thing because I have like 4 different storyboards in my office, and so I'm always worried that I'm be giving away whatever I'm working on
You
next.
storyboard your performances on a Zoom ahead of time.
Do you know what's funny? Is people go onto that show and they're like, okay, how do I plug this in? Okay, let's start. I do hours of research before I go. I'll watch the show and I'll do line by line things to bring up, and at the end I'll do a recap. So that's why it's so interminable to listen to me on that podcast, because like, okay, I guess we'll split this into 3 episodes. But on one of the episodes, I actually decided during my research that I would actually just research Maggie and do an unauthorized biopic of her, and it's taken a life of its own. And I won't talk about it too much for those of you who don't listen. How dare you? And but it's this perpetual thing that someday could turn real. So it's in development, as we say. And if I could just answer, I know we want to get to other questions too, but if I could also just answer to what Jimmie and James said, it's like when we were in the moment of the show's going to get picked up and James is going to do it, he said, let's get on the phone and let's just talk. And I go, that sounds perfect. And I thought it was going to be a 5-minute conversation, so I put in my earphones on the phone. I got the dog out to walk, and we started talking. I walked the dog around the block about 68 times, and James literally said, "This is what I want to do," and I go, "Oh wow, this is what we're talking about." I said, "Okay, this is what I hope to do," and that's the moment all of that was born, and it was you know, the way that we both feel that you treat people well, you respect, you know, it's so hard to do this job, to be on a set, the pressure is insurmountable, and if you aren't feeling good about what you're doing, and if everybody isn't inspired to do their best work, you're going to create all kinds of festering problems that are only going to get worse. So I'm like, I want everybody to have a great time. I want to be respectful of all that. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm writing in Los Angeles. Our editorial is going to be somewhere else. And James is on set, so it's like, James is the person who addressed every problem. He would call me and say, hey, I don't think they're being nice to the craft services person. And that's what he would take on, as well as memorizing 9 pages of dialogue for the day. And someone who cares and defends the crew up there, I would do the same thing for the people in Los Angeles. And if one of us failed at that job, then the thing can just crumble apart from either side. So it's because of the character of this person and a conversation that gave my dog the greatest walk. Young life.
I've always just felt like, you know, if you're lucky enough to do the thing that you love more than anything in the world as a job and get paid for it, it's just not that difficult to not be an asshole. You know? But sadly, it doesn't go that way all the time. But that was certainly the rule on our set. Thank you, man.
Good question.
Hello.
Hello.
Before I say my question, there's just something I have to say. My cousin was named Mary. Her mother was named Mary. Her mother was named Mary. And then her mother was named Nana.
I'd just like to respond to you, and to those who don't know, my mother's name is Mary. Literally.
My question is for Jimmie. We all know that your character was named Mary, but did you enjoy your character being named Mary?
Immensely. I really deeply enjoyed it. There was a little bit of a journey to being named Mary as they were conceiving this character. They were trying different things. James knew he was going to be placing me in there, so he wanted to get a little weird. And I believe they started with the name Pamela. Right? The network was like, that's ridiculous. A man named Pam. And so they tried Marion, but then they called me Mary. It's obviously one of my favorite roles I've ever played. Being called Mary is so perfect. I couldn't have come up with a better name, and it's just a coincidence that it's my mother's name as well. But I'm a fan of that coincidence. Thank you for asking the question.
The great thing, I have a short aside about the name Mary because Andy and James were writing this script, and the network, we like to think of it as like, they were very loose with us. They would be surprised when we started pushing the boundaries, and this was the first time we'd gone dark. And they got wind of it really early. And so they were like, you cannot name this person Pam. It cannot be Pam. And so
You can blow up Sybil Shepherd, but you cannot, under any circumstances, name a man Pam. That's where we're drawing the line.
And the thing that I think happened though, is I think they got so distracted about that name, they didn't realize everything else that was going on in this episode. And I would call James and I go, dude, help me out here. Is there an alternative to Pam? And he'd throw names and I go back and forth. I wish I still had these emails. And he goes, what about Marion? And I go, I can sell that because of John Wayne. And at no point does he ever say Marion, it's just Mary. But James was brilliant because he addressed the note, but he didn't do exactly what they said, so. All right, next question. Thank you for the question.
Hi, good morning. First, I just want to thank you guys for being here this weekend and giving us such a great time with so many fun panels and events. I think we all needed this escape from reality just for a little bit, so thank you for that. My question's for James. I've really enjoyed watching the new show High Potential, which I know that you did some directing for. I was just wondering if you could tell us anything about what it was like directing a show that gave such an homage to Psych.
Yeah, well, our boy Todd Harthan is running that show. So, yeah, there was already some Psych pedigree before I even came along. Andy Berman also contributed to High Potential. So, yeah, the foundation was already in place. You have an incredibly gifted comedic performer in Caitlin Olsen. Yeah, she's great. You got some cops that you root to be smarter and a little more astute. And you got a murder a week, so it kind of felt like putting on an old sweatshirt that still fits. And it was a lot of fun, and it was also in Los Angeles, so the palm trees were real. Yeah, you bet.
All right.
Hi guys, my name's Amanda, and first of all, I have to say how much I love that Psych and Supernatural share so many actors. It makes me so happy. My question is, I know there's Supernatural people out there. My question is what is the 80s song lyric that has had the most impact on your life and why?
None of us want to go first.
Girls just want to have fun.
I'm gonna go with, I'm not internationally known, but I'm known throughout the microphone.
It's not about myself, but I think it's probably last of the famous, famous international playboys.
Oh. Oh.
Thank you.
I thought that was going to turn into a duet.
I was so terrified that question was going to be about Supernatural, which I'm planning on starting it soon, so don't spoil any of it for me. But I'm way behind.
Danny?
Wait, what's your name?
What? What is your name?
Danny.
One more time? What's your last name's initial?
G.
Yeah, it is.
Danny G.
Danny G's in the house.
I believe, Danny, you got referenced in the table read last night.
Yeah, suspect. I don't know if you got the right guy. So anyway, this makes me so happy, first of all, this con and this particular panel. And the particular reason why is that there's a bit, probably my favorite bit of all bits, is when these two sing. And they come up with their stuff in the movies, and Jimmie's had so many, whether it's in the musical, you get a duet with Ali Sheedy, and between that and Allison Road and Don't Suck on This Tweet. Which one's your favorite? How do you construct that kind of thing, and have you been workshopping it, and how does that work? And you have others that we haven't seen that you've also workshopped that maybe didn't make the cut.
Is this for me?
Anyone who knows the answer.
Oh. Well, definitely, I do meet James and I do love to sing. Well, most friendships are built on like a shared history. Ours is built on inside jokes and the silent agreement to never stop singing Morrissey, no matter what he says publicly. I love sharing voices with James, but then obviously bringing, Ali Sheedy to heaven was amazing. I couldn't believe that they were letting me be such a lovely little element to the musical. It was great, but our process generally, James and I, is like, I was thinking Allison Road, and then and a voice memo, and then I sing back, how about this part? And he's like, yeah, but I was thinking also like this. And then we send voice memos back together, and then it's done. And then we go to set.
I think we workshopped the baby song like maybe the day of. I just went over to Jimmie's trailer and I was like, let's just start riffing on this. I think Maggie threw us some harmony, some high harmony that we could use. Because the thing is, you can't overwork a teat. It's not a good idea. And we knew that. And yeah, so we just did it the day of. Yeah.
Thank you.
Over here.
Hi, my name is Jackson. My question is for you, Jimmie.
Yo, Jesse.
What aspects of Mary's character were added or improvised by you?
You start with the way he shakes hands.
Yeah, I mean, listen, James knows me really well. Steve knows what James tells him about me. And so, and I hand to Steve. Steve, he brought this thing all together, and I don't applaud him. Steve's like an emotional support horse. He's majestic, he's unexpected, he's rarely allowed on airplanes. What were you talking about? I have ADHD and it's unmedicated. I don't take medicine for it because I'm too old. They didn't have it back then. What were you talking about?
Things that you came up with that were improvised this
Oh, right. So these two set me up based on James's knowledge of my internal ways. It was really there. James and I play, but the script was there. I just brought the vibes.
Here's a quick story about Jimmie this morning, because we were prepping for this panel like we do. And Jimmie said, "Hey,
I can't believe he's gonna out me right now."
he's like, "Hey, who came up with the handshake?" And I go, "Oh my gosh, okay, let's bring Andy Berman's here." I can bring Andy over and I go, "Hey, do we know who came up with the handshake?" And Andy Berman looks at Jimmie and goes, "You did."
ADHD, y'all. And I told a few of you yesterday, I was like, I'm not exactly sure. I'll have to check up on that. So Jesse, that's how it went down.
That's how generous of a performer he is, that he's giving credit to other people for things he did. So that's what you get with Jimmie Simpson. Thank you. That's a great question. Thanks, Jesse.
Hi, I'm Rihanna, and I have a question for Jimmie. You play some great normal characters, but you
When do I do that?
not a lot, but sometimes. But you also play, weird ones like Marriott, and then we've got Liam McCoyle from Always Sunny.
Love that.
So I was wondering, do you prefer, those more traditional roles, or do you like playing, a weirdo?
Listen, I've said this before countless times. My mother doesn't understand why I play so many weirdos. She's like, "Don't they know you're a sweet boy?" I will, and again, when I started acting, most actors, you get thrust into New York and you're auditioning for plays, and then your little agent's like, "Hey, here's a commercial audition. You should go, start there." And I could not get arrested in a commercial because I look like I'm kind of up to something. Like there's some kind of I have like resting troublemaker face. So that's, I think, why it started. And also I really enjoy the departure from myself and really indulging all these little things that each animal and human might want to do when you're not checking yourself to present. So playing roles like that allow that utter creativity to come through, and then if you sell it, it's viable.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Why, hello again.
Hello there.
Hello, Jimmie. Hello, James. Hello, Steve. So I have a two-part question. My first part is for Jimmie. How many digits of pi do you actually know?
What was it again? Digital pies?
How many digits?
3.
I'll speak better. How many digits of pi do you actually know?
Oh, I definitely got 3. Yeah.
Good to know. And then my other question is for all three of you. What is your guys' favorite Hitchcock film?
Rebecca, hands down. It wasn't celebrated in our show, but it was a really early film of his, and it was kind of before he was landing fully in genre. So this picture explored all kinds of romance and drama and genre.
Yeah, I don't know that it's his best film. In fact, I know it's not his best film, but my favorite is always going to be Psycho. Yeah, because it kind of birthed the slasher villain. And again, Jimmie and I also bonded over our love of 80s slasher films, and Norman was sort of the grandfather and grandmother of slasher, and also the way that movie is structured is bonkers. It's just weird. And I love that about Hitchcock. He wasn't playing by anybody's rules.
I wish I had something that was obscure, like Family Plot was my choice, but I have such a special place in my heart for both. This is going to sound so basic. To Catch a Thief and North by Northwest. I love his popcorn movies, and I love him and Cary Grant together. And so mine is by far the least interesting answer, but those movies are movies that I can watch over and over again, and has one of my favorite DVD special features ever. If you watch North by Northwest, when they had the DVD, they started doing commentary tracks So they had the writer of North by Northwest come out and do an audio track, and it's 99 minutes of silence. And he's there's a truck over there. And we parked that sideways so we could get in the door. 4 minutes of silence. It's honestly the greatest commentary track I've ever listened to. So, that's all I got.
Thank you very much.
Hi, my name's Ashley. So this show has made a huge impact for a lot of people. It definitely has for mine, and I was curious how it's impacted your personal lives working on such a creative, unique, weird show.
It changed my life. It completely changed my life. I mean, I was a working actor, but I hadn't really done anything that stuck. And frankly, none of the stuff I had done probably should have stuck either. And you start to question like what you're doing this for. If your work isn't reaching anyone, and it's not serving you in some way. What does the future actually look like, and is this something I want to keep doing? And then something like Psych comes along and it checks all of those boxes, and it does become symbiotic. Like, you thank us when we do stuff like this, and of course it means the world to us, but we are only here because of all of you. Like, we all did this thing together for 8 seasons and 3 movies. Like, there is no us without you, and vice versa. And that's a really, really beautiful thing to be a part of. And that's the only thing, in my career, that, especially at the time that it happened for me, that I think allowed me to believe that I was doing the right thing, and that I was in the right place. Yeah, for sure. Steve's life didn't change at all.
That's perfect. Can I get Jimmie to answer that too? The show, you said it was your favorite show to be a part of. What's been your biggest takeaway from the show?
That was for me?
Jimmie.
Oh yeah.
I said Jimmie, yeah.
Oh, no.
Sorry,
They looked at me and I was like,
I would like to see his answer as well.
Well, it was the first time James and I were able to kind of be thrust into our craft together. We were just tight buds, and that began a series of just working together like gravy. I know a lot of you see gravy is one of the best movies I've been a part of. Working on that, we were all in this little tiny room for 2.5 weeks with love. And so that's what I really got the most out of Psych, was the coming together with my best friend and finding that, oh my God, we work well this way, as in addition to being gentlemen poker players.
Hi, my name is Lucy, and I kind of have a question for all of you, mainly James. But Yin and Yang was definitely a darker part of the series, but there was also another series within the series involving a famous art thief, one Pierre Despereaux. If you had to create another series within the series, which vibe would you lean towards? The darker one, or kind of more the funny, charismatic of Pierre?
Well, should I do this one? Okay, I'll start with this one. I think you have to have both. They balance each other. Thank you for clapping over that. It feels like that they balance each other out. They're two polar opposite, but I love doing that stuff. James loves doing the darker stuff, but I think what's funny is when we veer off into each other's worlds, and when James does something that feels more like something I write, and then I attempt to go into the darker things, and James says, let me fix that for you.
Is this our time for the end of the thing?
They're counting us down.
So should we just try to see everybody as possible?
Here's the thing. When that ends, we don't have to stop.
Okay. I don't want anybody to lose.
Wait, you want us to stop? Okay. Yeah. Well, I think we go just a minute or two over and think of that. But yes, so you were saying my answer's not very good.
I just don't want people to miss out if they lined up.
The number of people that are left is doable. We're going to do this.
I think we're gonna do all of these. And here's the thing: if we could do a dark spinoff, we would, and if we could do a light adventure spinoff, we do both of them, and we'd insist on getting the package together as a pair. But great question. Thank you, Lucy. Was that the right?
Hi, I'm Eliza, and this question's for Jimmie. I was wondering so as we know, Mary Lightly was very obsessed with the yin and yang cases. Did you create like a backstory of your own for why he was obsessed with them? Like even after his death? And also Steve and James, did you kind of have one that you silently, like a backstory that you silently had?
I don't know what theirs was, but mine was simply that he was obsessed with unsolved mysteries as a boy, and that became his life. Robert Stack. He loves Robert Stack.
Yeah, I mean, to be an FBI serial killer profiler, you have to have some obsessive character traits, I think. So we just figured he was one of those dudes who watched a lot of unsolved mysteries
and wasn't a fan of Michael Bay.
Wasn't a fan of Bay. Probably was a fan of ramen and
too much slurping.
I wish we could actually have published Mary's book, because that would have told everything. But that's. All right, this side. Thank you very much. Let's go. This side.
Hi, my name is Taylor. The Yin Yang episodes are my all-time favorite. James, I wanted to know what your inspiration was to make a serial killer, since that's something Psych hadn't worked with before. And then Jimmie, I wanted to know how it was to play someone that everyone thought was the murderer and then end up as the victim.
I knew I wanted to pay tribute to Hitchcock. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do that, so that was on the board, just in terms of something to aspire to. And then come season 3, it was time. It was time to start taking some swings, and we didn't know if it would work, but introducing the idea of an arch nemesis for Sean was the inspiration. It's time to put somebody out there that's just as sharp as he is, and that we can carry over to future seasons, like a supervillain. Let's see if we can pull it off. And then that also created the gateway into paying tribute to Hitchcock. So that was a happy accident.
I was very, very pleased to be the victim in the end. It was just it was fresh because I'm generally suspected of murder. So that wasn't new.
Is that it? No? Because we're going into bonus time in 15 seconds. I see Stephanie Kazan over here, who's from Journey Events. Guys, I want you to know that Stephanie is the one who's organized this. This is her maiden voyage for Journey Events. And she's just handled so many things, and we met her on the last one, and we just wanted to come along with her and build this from the ground up with her. So please thank her for everything.
It's nothing without you guys. So thank you, and all of your input and the curating of everything you guys have done. Really, when we say all the panels were cast and produced and curated, we really mean it. All the images and everything you see, they've signed off on, and they're a huge, huge part of everything you see this weekend. So let's give it up for the cast.
Is that it? That's it, right? There's nobody else? Is there anybody over there with a question? Okay, all right.
Thank you for joining us for this little fireside chat.
That was so fun. Thank you guys.